Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're diving headfirst into TrafficID. From the mountain of info you sent over, it's making some serious waves in the marketing and sales world. So we're here to figure out what makes it tick, what kind of impact it's having out there in the wild, and, most importantly, whether it lives up to all the hype.
It really is exciting to see so much buzz around TrafficID. We're all constantly in this digital age, right?
Yeah.
Trying to figure out just who's interacting with our stuff, content, products, even our brand. But those traditional website analytics, they only paint part of the picture. They show us the wets, right? Page views and all that, bounce rates, time on site. But the big question, the who, remains this big mystery.
It's almost like having a packed concert.
Mm.
The energy is there, the applause is deafening, but you have absolutely no clue who's actually in the audience.
Exactly. You're missing that individual connection. And that's where TrafficID comes in. It's like suddenly having a VIP list for your website. Instead of just looking at, numbers and charts, you see names, faces, job titles, company names. It's like someone flipped the switch and turned on the lights in that concert hall.
Hmm? Okay, so break this down for our listeners. How does TrafficID pull this off? Is this some super secret, digital detective work, piecing together clues from the depths of the internet?
It's definitely clever, but not quite as mysterious as all that. It uses IP addresses, analyzes them, and a whole bunch of other data points to figure out who's visiting a website. It's able to match those, anonymous IP addresses to actual companies and people.
So you're not just seeing that someone from some tech company stopped by.
Yeah.
You might actually see it was, say, John Smith, head of marketing at, I don't know, XYZ Tech, who spent 10 minutes reading your latest blog post.
That's it. And that's where the true magic of TrafficID lies. Knowing who your visitors are is really just the first step. What you can do with that knowledge, that's where things get really interesting.
You've definitely piqued my curiosity. So let's talk real-world stuff here. How are businesses using TrafficID to actually boost their sales and marketing?
Just picture this. You're a sales rep working for some B2B company, trying to land a meeting with a big prospect. You know they visited your website, maybe checked out your pricing, maybe even downloaded some things. TrafficID takes you beyond those basic signals and shows you exactly who is interested from that company. Maybe you discover it's the CEO, the CFO, and the head of product.
Whoa. You go from having a vague idea to suddenly knowing exactly who to talk to.
And not only that, you know what they're looking at. And armed with that knowledge, you can craft the perfect pitch. No more generic emails or cold calls. You reach out to each person with a message tailored to their specific needs and problems.
So it's not just about finding leads, it's about qualifying them and making sure you're talking to the right people first.
Absolutely. It's all about personalization, building that rapport, establishing credibility, and ultimately closing deals. And that's powerful stuff. And you know what? Let's not forget about marketing. TrafficID isn't just for sales. It's a real marketing powerhouse, too.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about all the time and effort that goes into marketing campaigns, right? Segmenting your audience, crafting emails, you're personalizing your website content. But what if you could take that personalization even further?
You've got my attention.
With TrafficID, you can actually see who from specific companies is looking at your marketing stuff. Let's say you send out an email about some new product feature. You can see who opens it, who clicks through the website, and which pages they visit.
So you know if the right people are actually getting the message.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Retargeting campaigns, on social media, usually you target people based on demographics or general interests. But with TrafficID, you can retarget based on what they actually did on your website. People who looked at specific products, abandoned their cart, or spent a bunch of time reading that one blog post.
Wow, that's incredibly specific. You're not just hoping for the best anymore. You're reaching out with a message that's actually relevant.
And the results speak for themselves. Businesses are seeing incredible ROI on their campaigns. Higher click-throughs, more conversions, and way less money wasted on ads that don't work.
It almost sounds too good to be true. Are there any downsides to TrafficID, things our listeners should be aware of?
Well, like any tool, it has its quirks. One thing is it mainly focuses on US traffic. So if your target audience is worldwide, you might not get as much info on folks from other countries.
That makes sense. And I'm guessing the accuracy of the data depends on other things too, like how good the IP address information is and stuff like that.
You're right. TrafficID only works with the data it has. So while it gives super valuable insights, you should always double check and make sure everything makes sense, especially before making any big decisions.
So it's a powerful tool, but needs to be used strategically.
For sure. And speaking of strategy, let's talk pricing. One of the best things about TrafficID is its flexibility and scalability.
Now that we've talked about finding leads, let's see how their pricing makes it work for any size business.
It's all pay per lead. You only pay for the leads that are actually found and given to you. You just choose how many leads you expect each month, and that's it.
So a small business with a tight budget can start small and grow as they need to.
Exactly. And for bigger companies with lots of traffic and big goals, TrafficID has custom plans for them too.
So they've made it accessible to everyone. And don't they even have a free trial?
They do. 7 days, unlimited leads. You can see how powerful TrafficID is without any risk.
Wow, that's great. Okay, we've covered a lot about how TrafficID works, from sales and marketing to pricing, but now I want to hear about how it's making a real difference. Can you share some stories about how businesses are using TrafficID to get amazing results?
Of course. One that comes to mind is a B2B SaaS company. They were having trouble connecting with the big decision makers at their target companies, sending generic emails, making cold calls, not getting the results they wanted. Then they started using TrafficID and it all changed.
What do they do differently?
So with TrafficID, they could actually see who from their target accounts was on their website, especially the people looking at pricing and case studies. They completely changed how they reached out to people. Instead of generic messages, they wrote really personalized emails to those decision makers, talking about their industry problems and highlighting specific case studies.
So they went from casting a wide net to a much more focused approach. Did it work?
It did. Their open rates and click-throughs went through the roof. But even better, they started landing meetings with those high-level people they couldn't get to before. They were closing deals way faster, too.
It's a great example of how TrafficID can help you actually get in touch with the right people, not just sending out messages into the void. Do you have any other examples of businesses using TrafficID in cool ways?
Oh, yeah. There was this e-commerce business that wanted to sell more and keep their customers happy. They were already doing some basic personalization, recommending products based on what people bought before, but they wanted to go further.
So how do they use TrafficID for that?
They connected TrafficID to their email marketing system. Whenever someone visited their website and looked at certain products, they'd send them an email with similar products or special deals, like having a salesperson show them what they might like.
Because they're taking advantage of what people are already looking at. Did it work?
Oh, yeah. They saw way more engagement with their emails, more people buying stuff on the website, and sales went up. But here's something really interesting. They also had fewer people contacting customer support about choosing products. Turns out those personalized recommendations helped people find what they wanted easier. And everyone was happier.
So it helps the business and makes customers happier too. It's not just about pushing products. It's about making shopping better.
That's exactly it. That's what makes TrafficID so great. It's not about collecting data. It's about building relationships and giving people personalized experiences. And ultimately, it helps businesses grow.
So if our listener takes away one thing from all of this, what should it be?
If you want to get the most out of your website and really understand who's visiting, TrafficID is a game changer. You can go beyond just the numbers and actually connect with your audience through sales, marketing, even just making your customers happier.
And like we've heard, it can make a real difference.
And don't forget, there's that free trial. Give it a try and see what TrafficID can do for you.
You've got nothing to lose, and it could totally change your business. Well, that brings us to the end of our TrafficID deep dive. We hope you've learned a lot about this incredible tool and how it can help you connect with your audience in a whole new way.
It's all about putting what you learn into action. So go explore TrafficID and turn those anonymous website visitors into real relationships and opportunities.
Happy converting, everyone, and until next time, keep diving deep.